Welcome to Socialcast, your go-to place to learn about marketing, the latest social media news, and insights. Brought to you by Social Bakers.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Valentine's Day special episode of our podcast. Really excited to have you hear from Christina, our Director of Field Marketing at Social Bakers. Christina actually has a really interesting idea that she's working on. She'll tell you more about it, but the topic of today's episode is how your dating life is exactly like your marketing funnel. So without further ado, let's hear more from Christina. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this very special podcast episode. Christina, it's really good to have you back on the podcast again.
Hi, Mantas, and thank you for inviting me and on this special day, especially. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone, whoever is watching us, listening to us.
And because it is a special day, we also have a very special topic. I heard rumors around the office that you are working on a book.
Yes.
And that book draws an analogy between marketing and dating. What a cool analogy.
Well, yeah, the rumors are true. I am actually working on a book that is going to show the world how most of our marketing strategy is applicable to our dating life. Actually, the opposite. Most of our dating life, day-to-day do's and don'ts apply easily to marketing strategy, to business strategy in general as well.
Yeah.
So
I suppose this episode is going to be tips for both, I guess. Takeaways for.
So the funny thing is, when I talk about it or when I write about it, it sounds like I'm a dating advisor or like a dating expert, and this book is just about essentially just giving dating advice. But it isn't. But you probably can also apply back to whatever you learn on your marketing strategy side. You can apply probably easily to your dating life as well. So.
Okay, well let's see how it goes. So before we dive maybe into the actual tactics, so why is this analogy particularly useful for marketers? Why should we be paying attention to it?
So why is it useful? Maybe before I say why is it useful, I'll just say that where the comparisons are possible. And I think the most uncomfortable I am in the comparison side is just the competitor displacement campaigns. Everything else in every other single aspect, it is applicable. So from awareness to acquisition to nurturing to opening opportunities, qualifying the opportunities, and to closing the business up until retention and upsell. So all of these aspects are easily comparable and all the tactics are easily applicable for both. Mm-hmm. The only place where I'm not very comfortable at comparing is the displacement campaigns.
We'll get to that. We'll see.
But why it is useful? I think sometimes we at work we just we kind of forget that we work with people. Yeah. We forget that the databases are people, and if we think about the way if we think about the dating life, in our dating life, we don't do the same, right? So let's say we meet people in the street or like on a dating app or at our friend's wedding or we swipe on Tinder. This each lead for us at that particular point, they come to us or they are already on the top of our funnel with different expectations from us and with different initial experience with us. So having said that, our strategy usually when we are dating, our strategy usually is different for each person, right? If we meet on Tinder or like other dating apps, or if we met in the street in a party, everything already becomes different how we kind of market ourselves. And so why don't we treat the customers that come from different sources differently? So what I'm suggesting is that we have to forget this bulk treating the leads or the prospects or the customers as like bulk. So and then move on to really more human, more customized, personalized approach, taking into consideration where they come from to us, what they're doing on why are they browsing around, and what is their intention, and give them what they want. Try to figure out what their expectation is, and then give them what they want.
Yeah, it's like kind of if we look at concrete examples, it's when you're reaching someone while they're scrolling through a Facebook feed versus them actually walking into your shop location. Those are very different touch points.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is just trying to kind of like remind that it's about human approach. You as a company, you have this goal to kind of sell. But I am a really big believer that if you treat the customers with respect, you give them what they want. I'm actually a big believer in a long-term relationship with customers. Education, thought leadership, and not just hard sell. So the topic essentially talks about these things, talks about be patient, asks the brands to be patient, not to be needy and pushy, and and not treat every single person in the awareness stage, for example, the same way, just because they happen to be in one bulk stage.
Yeah, and of course, then it becomes about empathy, as it would in any sort of relationship you're trying to build with any person. It's what do they need at that exact touch point? Do they need to hear your self or how amazing you are right now, or do they want to see the wedding ring right now?
Yeah. So it is. If we kind of like talk about user journey, for example, it is so easily applicable. Usually you can, propose marriage right after you matched on a dating app, or right after you accidentally met in a club or at your friend's wedding. Usually you don't propose, like usually you just don't just get out the ring and here it is, and it just happens. So why do we actually jump and start selling whatever we have in our shops when the customer enters our funnel? So why don't we wait, see what they want, where they come from, and what is their intention? So really, qualification stage is super important, and as it is in the dating life, right? So you qualify whether or not there is a match, there is interest, and then also like without forgetting what's their intention. Is that for every single, let's say, lead in your dating pipeline, I suppose you have like a goal set and goal, and then you break down your journey with that person into smaller goals. So that means in every single touch point you might have different goals and KPIs, and you might measure your success differently.
I think in both marketing and dating, a really awkward moment is to know when to move to the next stage. What should you look for? I don't know if I'm asking about dating or marketing, but maybe they're both the same.
So I think, so I think if you really like have a proper user journey mapped, where you want to take this user from which state to which state. And I'm actually talking about from awareness until also like close business and retention and upsell, like a full user journey strategy. They will actually move from stage to stage. You don't really need to push them, you know. So if you have it mapped out in a way that makes sense for that customer, it will happen. So they will move from stage to stage.
Yeah, but don't they sometimes say, you know, if don't miss your chance, you know, go and speak to them, don't be shy.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, and we also do that in our dating life as well, right? We just don't sit there passively and wait whatever happens. That's why we create meaningful journey for the person we have or we want to have the relationship with. So it's all about thinking about what makes sense for that particular customer, and then map out your offering to their needs and be honest. Like this is so. You know, there is if you have been on any dating app very recently, there is one meme which is very popular and people use it. So they say, if we meet and you don't look like your picture on the dating app, you are buying the drinks until you do. So I mean, and that's actually, again, back applicable. Don't sell things that you cannot deliver. Don't, you know, like you can put all the best wording and content and on your web and promise amazing experiences and then fail delivering on the first touch point even.
Is that why we have such bad retention rates both in business and relationships?
Well, the retention rates, I assume, are good, but okay-ish. But advocacy, you know, like retaining is sort of easier. But advocacy, you know, customer advocacy is a little bit left out. So I feel like a lot of companies, and that can probably apply to personal relationships, you start thinking about relationship when, retention, renewal, when it's closer. Like, okay, next month I have a renewal, so I gotta start thinking renewal and upsell. I assume in a lot of relationships it's probably like that. People think they get to an end goal, one business, essentially, and then they chill. But I think in both cases, you should have a strategy for renewal. You should have a strategy for making a customer successful. You should have a strategy for making the customers your biggest fan. But if you have been not honest with your customer throughout this journey, you might still be able to trick them into one renewal, you know, right. But you're gonna fail into making them successful, and you're gonna fail into making them your biggest fans, which I think a customer and brand relationships should be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to keep it exciting, of course. You got to make it feel like you care and that you, I guess, that you're even changing as alongside the customer.
You're listening, you know, you're listening to their needs. You're trying to match your offering to their needs. And you are ready to make the changes that they say, they request or they comment on. So that's kind of like where I feel like it's applicable for both aspects.
Yeah, that is a beautiful analogy and a very good message, positive message for Valentine's Day. Okay, so I can see this customer journey analogy, and it's a really useful one. Is there other parts of marketing that maybe these analogies come out?
My favorite one is when businesses wonder why they lose opportunities, why their win rates are lower. So, and here I love just comparing. We lose opportunities essentially for a couple of reasons. One could be like poor pre-qualification was done. And the second one, my favorite, is that the customer was probably actually trying other competitors' offering and products and services, and they found a better match, they found a better treatment, they found the other competitors offering better matching to their needs. So, and then when we just go back and how this could potentially apply to the dating or vice versa, it's the same, like that means pre-qualification stage, again, back to my previous thought, pre-qualification stage and the nurturing the relationship stage, and being honest and being authentic and being really yourself as a brand or as a person, that would have really, we would have avoided like losing that opportunity. So
yeah, and is there, I guess, can you do things on the competitor side? Can you run them out of business?
Well, that's the thing that I'm not very comfortable even thinking about it. So yeah. I guess in the opportunity stage, it is okay.
Right.
But comparisons post one business stage, I'm not feeling very comfortable.
Right. Well, and sometimes
in comparing, I mean, in business, it's fine if you're ethical, if your approach is ethical, and so.
And sometimes it's maybe that person is just a better fit for and.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable.
All right.
In the personal displacement campaigns, I'm not very, very comfortable.
Okay.
So.
What about things like privacy? Is that related?
Well, of course, that's kind of the essential, the most essential, the core of the applicable aspect, let's say. In both cases, consent is the most important thing, and don't pretend that you care, just putting a couple of accept boxes all around your website and that nobody reads. Really be thoughtful about their privacy, but also about what they care about. So let's say if you just acquire the third-party list of prospects, don't just start pushing against sales content, whatever content. Make sure that I understand GDPR regulations, etc. They gave consent to the third party. You have the NDA. You can share leads, etc. However, just take one step. Think about it, how to approach it. I'm not saying it's a business tactic. We all do it, using third-party lists, or we just participated in an event and we just received the list of the participants. We all do it. I mean, that's a business tactic, but I'm suggesting to be mindful of that and perhaps maybe ask for consent one more time from our side before starting kind of spamming them again, from our side.
Yeah.
So
this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, consent is kind of like the core of everything. So the same way you would want validation and consent in your personal life, you need to. There are people you're working with.
Yeah, and it's opens and kind of an opportunity to be honest with each other, and if the customer says no, well, you know that that's what they like, and maybe you have to take that into consideration.
And we have seen examples where customers expect the brand to actually be a human, have values.
Yeah.
You know, we are changing. People expect the companies to stand for certain values. We've seen it. We've seen brands sell tons of things overnight. I'm not gonna bring names, but like to sell a whole bunch of things overnight because they stood up for a certain thing publicly, and vice versa. People that ditched the brand just because they were, So
that's probably a huge priority in this decade, is to sort this out. Like what do we stand behind? You know? What would be your advice for Valentine's Day?
For marketers or for
for
those who are
for
dating?
marketers, for people, and it's Valentine's Day.
So the first thing that comes to my mind is keep the user journey flexible, and but also useful, value-based, information based, and meaningful for the customer. So they can enter at whatever stage they find the need for, and then they can exit whatever stage they don't have the need for, or they lose interest. Secondly, think about what you're giving them, in which stage. Make sure you you qualified them, and you identified their buyer match or buying intent before starting really like your sales pitch all over the place. Give them the opportunity to opt in and also opt out from whatever stage they want. Really make sure they have also the opt-in. But for people also, make sure you opt out from the funnels that you don't want to be part of it. It's really important both sides. If you're part of somebody's funnel that you don't want to be, just unsubscribe. So that makes the other, like the communicators, the brands, the companies, communication also more clear. Like it improves you understand if they're not engaging, so that's also unsubscribe essentially. Exactly. And don't rush into selling. Don't rush. Wait, be patient, but also give them something meaningful each time. Give them something exciting each time. Some piece of news that is relevant, something that is they can use and it will help them in their day-to-day life. Show them how they can be successful. Really be honest about your brand, yourself, and how you can make them successful and elevate in their actually work.
Yeah, everyone prefers
don't spam. Don't spam. Before sending in any communication, think about what's the value. What are you? Really, what is the value of that communication? What would happen if you didn't send that one more piece of information? Right. A/B test content all the time. Make sure the language you're talking to them is comfortable and there is a match, because there might be your product, your offering might be complex. So you might be communicating to a few different levels of people, different types of people. So always A/B test content and see whether or not the language, the formal or informal language that you're communicating in this or that market, because from market to market, the way you communicate is different. So really A/B test content also. if you can provide experiences that shows how your offering matches, how you can solve their issues, for example, and how your offering matches their needs. So that is also important. If you can't give them experiences that shows there, make sure your communication is clear enough that you understand their needs, and this is how you are going to address those needs with your solution. And I think one more advice that I always like to mention is that keep your funnel really up to date, and don't fill it with hopes and dreams. And just because you had one communication, they read one article on your web, or just because they met a certain KPI that you essentially had put from your end, they are already ready and they have the buying intent. So that might be that the same person is in some other competitor's pipeline the same way as they are in yours. So don't fill the pipeline with dreams and hopes. Be realistic and really qualify better. Make sure there is a match. Make sure you have a strategy from the moment you acquire that customer to the moment you retain them. And also don't go to them to retain when you have an upsell strategy, if you have forgotten them throughout a certain time period. So
yeah, this is.
I guess this is it.
this is a lot of advice for someone going on a date if you're this evening. But it's very, very good advice for both marketers and people going on dates.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, we are happy to hear feedback after they apply after Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Apply the strategies that we discussed today.
Can't wait to see the feedback coming in on our channels.
I can't wait to see your feedback, Amanda. So.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait for your book to come out. I can't wait to read it.
There is still some time.
Yeah.
To go.
So we gotta hold our breath.
Yeah.
And I hope we get you on a podcast when the book is out and we get to discuss the other parts of it, because it's a really, really interesting take on marketing. Yeah.
Thank you, Mantas, for the invite. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to see how marketers apply this, and also be back hopefully very soon.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.